Улогата на Русија на Балканот, особено во Македонија, зборував со Јан Бжежински од влијателниот Атлантски совет, поранешен висок функционер во Пентагон во времето на Џорџ Буш помладиот и син на Збигњев Бжежински, влијателен советник на повеќе американски претседатели.
I'm increasingly concerned about the Southern Balkans. I think there's increasing streaks of instability in the region, and I think that Russia is trying to exploit them, if not even drive them. I mean, I think of the Russian effort to assassinate the leader of Montenegro. I see these Russian elements flowing into Spritska to kind of stir unrest over there. I see it provoking tensions between the Kosovars and the Serbs. I pick up traces of Russian manipulation in the media and perhaps in information flow, so to speak, in your country. I think what Russia has found is a kind of a soft underbelly to the alliance, and it's trying to kind of stoke, unrest in that region to weaken the alliance.
Do you see that potential threat for the whole region, stability of the region, if Macedonia is again left out of the NATO? We are talking about possibility of joining NATO in the following months if there is a solution over the name issue. But do you think that possibility of Macedonia again being left out of NATO is not only a danger to the country itself, but also to the Balkans?
Well, one, I hope that Greece will get over its hesitations to allow Montenegro its rightful place in NATO, and the summit coming up in July provides a great opportunity to get over that hurdle in the alliance's relationship with Macedonia. I remember firsthand the contributions Macedonian forces made to U.S.-led operations in Afghanistan. Its important contribution to U.S. and NATO-led operations around the world. I remember Macedonian soldiers defending the U.S. embassy in Kabul not too long ago when it was assaulted by Taliban forces. So Macedonia stands among those countries who are first and foremost when it comes down to being in the front lines of alliance operations, and something we should never underestimate. It's something that I appreciate. As for what will happen in July, I don't know. I have my fingers crossed. I see signs of optimism. I see signs of pragmatism, or reasons for optimism. I see signs of pragmatism on the Greek government. But if that invitation weren't to be implemented, so to speak, in July, I don't think that's going to be the major driver of instability in the Balkans. It will be a setback. I think it doesn't help those in Macedonia who are most committed to transatlanticism, most committed to democratic reform and such. But it doesn't mean that the door will have been closed. It will mean we just have to take more effort to kind of push to ensure that Macedonia gets its rightful place at the NATO table.
The happenings, the events in Montenegro a couple of years ago, and ongoing statements by U.S. officials about the malign presence of Russian influence in the Balkans. Do you think that there is a need of a more bigger presence of the Western alliance, not just of United States administration in the Balkans? Not only speaking to counter Russian influence, but also on the other hand to make more stronger reforms and democracies in the region.
It depends on what you mean by presence. I don't think there's a need for increased U.S. or NATO military presence in the region. But I think we need to do more to work with the governments of that region to counter malign Russian influences. I still think the West is behind the power curve when it comes down to dealing with Russian information operations, Russian subterfuge, Russian cyber operations, all of which have been picked up in that region and which are geared toward destabilizing the region. So we need to do more in terms of fighting fake news is being pushed out by the Russians, taking on through appropriate means those who are pushing extremist agendas in the various countries of that region, encouraging some of these countries to be more bold in terms of the political reforms and rule of law reforms. That's the kind of presence I think we need to pick up on the part of the United States, and part of the EU, and part of the alliance in your neck of the woods.
Thank you very much. За ова издание на 360 степени од Вашингтон, Владимир Мирчевски.